Right now, somewhere in your city, someone is sitting alone in a room. They have a phone in their hand. They have the internet at their fingertips. They could call anyone they want. And they feel completely, utterly alone. You probably know that feeling. Most people do. But what if that feeling is not just emotional discomfort? What if loneliness is one of the most dangerous things that can happen to your body? This is not a metaphor. This is not an exaggeration. The science says that chronic loneliness changes your biology in ways that rival smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It alters how your genes express themselves. It rewires how your immune system responds to threats. And it shortens your life in measurable, documented, terrifying ways. To understand why, you have to go back, way back. Picture your ancestor on the African savannah, roughly 200,000 years ago. They are not particularly fast. They are not particularly strong. Their teeth are not especially sharp. They cannot see in the dark. By almost every physical measure, they should not have survived. But they did. And the reason they survived is the same reason loneliness can kill you today. They had each other. For the vast majority of human history, being separated from your group was not just unpleasant, it was a death sentence. A human alone on the savannah was a human that could be picked off by a predator, unable to hunt large game, unable to defend a food source, unable to survive a cold night. Separation from the group meant death, and your brain evolved to make sure you never forgot that. Neuroscientist John Cacioppo spent decades studying loneliness at the University of Chicago. What he found transformed the way scientists think about social connection. Cacioppo discovered that the lonely brain is a brain in threat mode. When you feel isolated from others, your nervous system treats it the way it would treat a predator in the grass. Your fight or flight response activates. Stress hormones flood your bloodstream, and your body shifts its priorities from long-term maintenance to immediate survival. Think about what that means. Your immune system changes its strategy. Instead of fighting viruses and slow-moving threats, it ramps up inflammation, the fast-acting first line of defense against wounds and physical attack. Because as far as your ancient nervous system is concerned, if you are alone, you might get hurt at any moment. That inflammatory response is not a glitch. In the short term, it is genius. If a predator is about to maul you, you want your body primed to fight infection from a wound before it even happens. But the problem is that your brain cannot tell the difference between being physically isolated from your tribe on the savannah and sitting alone in an apartment in a modern city. The alarm fires either way, and when that alarm stays on for months, for years, it destroys you. Chronic inflammation is linked to heart disease, stroke, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, and cancer. Cacioppo's research showed that lonely people had significantly higher levels of a gene expression pattern he called CTRA, or the conserved transcriptional response to adversity. This pattern suppresses the immune response to viruses while amplifying inflammation. In other words, loneliness makes you worse at fighting the very diseases that actually kill people in modern life. The numbers are stark. A landmark meta-analysis by Julianne Holt-Lunstad at Brigham Young University reviewed data from over 3 million people across dozens of studies. The conclusion was direct. Social isolation increases the risk of premature death by 26%. Loneliness increases it by 29%. Living alone increases it by 32%. These numbers are not small. They place chronic loneliness in the same risk category as obesity. They surpass the mortality risk of physical inactivity. Your body was designed to crave connection the same way it craves food and water. That craving has a name: pain. Researcher Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA ran a now famous experiment. She put participants in a brain scanner and had them play a simple virtual ball tossing game with what they thought were 2 other players. At a certain point, the other players stopped passing the ball to them. They were excluded, and the region of the brain that activated in response to that social exclusion was the exact same region that activates when you feel physical pain. The anterior cingulate cortex, the same neural circuitry. Social pain is real pain. Your brain does not distinguish. Being left out hurts in the same biological sense as breaking a bone. This is not poetry, it is neuroscience. And here is where it gets stranger. The feeling of loneliness does not actually require being alone. You can be surrounded by people and still feel this signal firing constantly. You can be married, employed, surrounded by co-workers and neighbors, and still feel the biological alarm that says your social bonds are insufficient. That is because what loneliness actually detects is not the quantity of people around you. It detects the quality and reliability of your connection. Your brain is not counting heads. It is measuring whether you feel truly known, truly safe, truly part of something. Cacioppo described it this way: loneliness is not a lack of company, it is a discrepancy between the social connection you want and the social connection you have. Two people with the same number of friends can have wildly different levels of loneliness because one feels genuinely seen and the other does not. This makes the modern epidemic even more confusing. On paper, people today are more connected than at any point in human history. You can reach thousands of people instantly. You can join communities of people who share your exact interests anywhere on the planet. And yet, surveys consistently show that loneliness has been rising for decades. In 2020, the United States Surgeon General declared loneliness a public health crisis. The United Kingdom appointed a minister for loneliness. Studies found that more than half of American adults reported measurable feelings of loneliness before the pandemic even began. Why? Because social media, texting, and digital communication can simulate the appearance of connection without triggering the neurological systems that actually register it. Your brain evolved to read faces, to detect micro expressions, to feel the warmth of proximity, to sync breathing rhythms with people beside you. These are the inputs that tell your nervous system you are truly safe in your group. A screen does not deliver those signals. It delivers information about people, not presence with them. And so the alarm keeps firing. But here is what the science also tells you: the brain is not a fixed organ, it responds to experience. Loneliness is not a permanent condition. It is a signal, and like all signals, its purpose is to drive behavior. The pain of loneliness evolved to push you back toward connection, the same way hunger evolved to push you toward food. It is not a sentence, it is a prompt. Cacioppo found something remarkable in his long term studies. People who actively worked on the quality of their existing relationships, not the quantity, who deepened one or two bonds rather than expanding their network, showed measurable reductions in the biological markers of loneliness within months. The gene expression patterns shifted, the inflammatory response quieted, the brain recalibrated. You do not need 100 friends. You do not need to be an extrovert. You do not need to restructure your entire life. You need a few moments of genuine presence with another person. A conversation where you actually say what you mean. A silence with someone you trust. A shared meal where you look up from your phone. That ancient system in your brain, the one that evolved on the savannah, the one that fires the alarm when it senses isolation, it is satisfied by remarkably small doses of real connection. It was not built to count followers. It was built to feel one other person right beside you, looking out at the world, making sure neither of you is alone. Right now, somewhere in your city, someone is sitting alone in a room. They have the ability to reach out. The question is whether they will. Because the science says that that single choice made by enough people is literally the difference between living longer and dying sooner. And the choice starts with you.